Some span the stars, some pound the pavement, and some work outside of reality altogether. But all of these superhero teams shared one thing in common: they'd be right at home on the silver screen. These are the DC teams we'd like to see in the DCEU. Sometimes known as the International Club of Heroes, the Batmen of All Nations debuted back in 1955. In Detective Comics number 215, the legend of Batman has spread so widely across the world that imitators have emerged. And everywhere, from Argentina to Italy, the Knight and the Squire clean up crime in England. The Gaucho rides through the streets of Argentina, protecting them from vicious criminals. The Musketeer takes down Parisian ne'er-do-wells in a plumed chapeau. This is straight-up Silver Age comic book story stuff, right down to the Knight and Squire's horse-shaped motorcycles. You might think this would be a hard sell for modern audiences, but the Batmen of All Nations popped up in 2007's Batman number 667, and the concept is as fresh today as it was the year it made its debut. With just a little fine-tuning, the idea of Batman-styled vigilantes the world over would fit smoothly into the DC universe. The DCEU's world is a highly interconnected one, with its modern-day global conversation moving at the light-speed pace of social media. In fact, it might be stranger to imagine a world where there aren't Batman imitators. Bring on the Batmen from every corner of the globe, and let them redefine their group once more. This time, for DC's movie fans. Just don't invite this guy.
What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Not every incarnation of the Teen Titans has been a rousing success, but every single one has at least been pretty interesting. The very first lineup, referred to in earnest as the Fab Foursome, hey, it was the 60s. You'd have loved it at the time. The soap opera melodrama that was the 1980s New Teen Titans. Who doesn't want their superpowered teenagers served with the side of angst, romance, and betrayal? And then there's the 2003 cartoon. You can bet any money that an entire generation has that theme song permanently stuck in their heads. Most recently is the wacky wonderland that is Teen Titans Go!, which has been running for an impressive 7 years now. The point is, the Teen Titans are arguably one of the best ideas DC has ever had. Every lineup sizzles with storytelling possibility, and it's a big help that the Titans are also already familiar property to many fans. What with the last 2 decades worth of smash hit cartoons and the DC Universe original series, so why not just go ahead and bring that goodwill into the DCEU? And hey, if nothing else, who doesn't want to see the Titans try to explain why a T-shaped tower isn't a disastrous idea to Robert Pattinson's steely-eyed Batman? Originally, the Seven Soldiers were a Golden Age super team who took on the Axis in World War II. Then, in 2005, writer Grant Morrison and a roster of artists revamped the team into something entirely different, and genuinely wonderful to boot. Seven Soldiers of Victory chronicles 7 reluctant, second-string heroes' strange journey to coming together as a team to fight the fiendish Sheeta, an Earth-inhabiting race of the far future. What ultimately makes the story so tremendously unique is its format. The series consists of 2 bookend issues, and between them, 7 4-issue character-specific arcs. Though every hero fights the Sheeta, they do so separately. Even in the climactic final battle, they can't really comprehend the larger picture of what they are doing. In the end, the 7 Soldiers are a team who aren't, in fact, much of a team at all. This is a balancing act of a book, and one that would admittedly challenge any filmmaker, no matter how skilled they may be. But the comic pulled it off, proving how great the reward is for taking on the risk of the premise, and a movie could succeed in much the same way. It helps that the 7 Soldiers include some of DC's most colorful characters, like Zatanna and Mr. Miracle. They're all a little weird, being rooted in their own particular corners of the DC universe, swept up in dramas utterly unknown to everyone else in the story. Combining their unique paths into one complete, satisfying big-screen arc would definitely be a challenge, but one that would be well worth undertaking. The Zoo Crew is a band of anthropomorphic animals from Earth-C, a parallel planet home to places like New Orleans and Pigsburg.
That'll do, Pig. That'll do.
The team's leader is Captain Carrot, known to most as mild-mannered Roger, a humble cartoonist toiling away in New York City. Then, Superman crashed into his reality and accidentally irradiated the carrots growing in Roger's window box. One bite later, and Roger was bunny-hopping his way across the city, hearing noises from miles away and discovering he had the strength of a whole warren's worth of rabbits. The zoo crew ended up being DC's last funny animal property, but boy, did they make it count. And sure, you might not think such a wacky, childlike group has a place in the DCEU, but remember this?
It can get weirder. I just washed my hands, that's why they're wet. No other reason.
Just as Into the Spider-Verse introduced audiences to the idea of using cartoon physics as actual superpowers, so too have Captain Carrot and his furry friends enjoyed a long history of turning their slapstick toughness into a tremendous advantage. Take the events of the entirely straight-faced The Multiversity series, in which Carrot is plucked from his own universe to fight in a far more serious one, beside heroes from more typical DC domains. While they get burned, cut, and crushed, he is merely flattened into a coin and springs back up again. Try that on for size, Steppenwolf. The Fourth World is one of the best parts of the DC mythos. It's high drama, psychedelic science fiction, and pop mythology, all rolled up in Jack Kirby's techno-fantasy aesthetic. Characters like Darkseid and Mr. Miracle have gone on to figure in searing post-modern family dramas and vast interstellar sagas alike. Luckily, the Fourth World's characters are already set to be part of the DCEU in the new Gods movie directed by Ava DuVernay. But it's all pomp and circumstance when it comes to the denizens of Apocalypse and New Genesis. Enter the Forever People, the flower children from beyond the stars. Bottom line, there is nothing subtle about the Forever People. They spend their immortal lives zooming over the Electron Road in their mother box-powered supercycle. They have names like Big Bear, Beautiful Dreamer, and Mark Moonrider, and they dress like they were waylaid at a Power Rangers convention on their way to Coachella. In a superhero landscape that tends toward stainless steel and desaturation, the Forever People could be a heady breath of fresh air, telling a genuinely universal teenage superhero story. They're young, they're invincible, and they're all tangled up in the wars and triumphs of the adults in their lives. It's a tale as old as time, except for the cosmic motorbike, that is. Is there any super team more beloved than the Justice League? These guys are to comic books what apple pie is to pastry.
Booyah.
But Justice League International is not exactly the team you picture when that iconic squad of superheroes comes to mind. Assembled in the wake of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Justice League International couldn't really get a hold of Superman, Wonder Woman, or The Flash. They're basically the B-side of Justice Leagues. Batman's there, but he's practically marooned in a sea of lesser-known heroes like Blue Beetle, Dr. Fate, and Black Canary. What results is a zany delight. The tension among these mismatched team members is palpable, and the series' unflappable sense of humor remains a breath of fresh air. JLI blends comedy with genuine heroics and keeps both parts all the more fresh by doing so. The DCEU has struggled with dour po-facedness in the past, so why not inject it with a little laughter? Trouble's afoot in the DC universe, but Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are busy. So what's a terrified bystander to do? Why, call the Hero Hotline, of course! Available 24 hours a day, the Hero Hotline will dispatch one of its many qualified super associates to take care of whatever you need. Run by the mysterious coordinator, the hotline's heroes include luminaries such as Microwave-a-Bell, Zeep the Living Sponge, and Marie, a psychic turtle sporting a truly adorable helmet. As you might have guessed, the heroes of the Hotline are not exactly the DC Universe's premier good guys. But what a concept! For one, the Hero Hotline is unabashedly corporate, offering a unique look at how a world with superheroes might actually function. And though the Hotline's roster isn't exactly A-list, it's hard not to fall in love with them. Microwave-a-Bell juggles inexact bus schedules alongside her scientific exploits. Mr. Muscle constantly changes his name, and Stretch lives life with stretching powers that never stop working, meaning he typically looks like a wad of thoroughly chewed gum. This could easily be the DCEU's Guardians of the Galaxy moment and would provide a fascinating new perspective on superhero storytelling. The Newsboy Legion began in the Golden Age as a group of orphans living in Metropolis's notorious slums. They're a scrappy, rambunctious gang who sling papers and manage to get into all sorts of thrilling trouble, going by nicknames like Big Words and Scrappy. Years later, they were reintroduced and mixed up in the more scientific corners of the DC universe, leading to a whole lot of stories about Newsboy Legion clones getting involved in all different corners of the DC universe. They are, in short, the most classic of comic book inventions. A pretty simple concept made wildly weird by continuity, reinvention, and science so advanced as to border on magic. The DCEU has a ton of options to pursue here. If they ever wanted to introduce the Newsboy Legion, they could always go classic. After all, who doesn't like newsies? But the Newsboy Legion's involvement with the Fourth World and government cloning has been part of their story for just as long as their gee-whiz golden years. That's not even the end of it, though. Young Justice Outsiders recently reimagined the Legion as composed of news girls who stream from their phones instead of slinging papers. Audiences could fall in love with any of these takes, whether decidedly old school or totally new. It isn't exactly accurate to say that the Royal Flush Gang have worn many hats over the course of their decades-long history. They have always maintained their playing card theme. For example, they've always been bad guys, and they've always favored a sleek aesthetic. But within those parameters, the portrayals of this particular team have varied wildly. Over the years, the Royal Flush Gang have been taken over by the Joker, dabbled in mind control, and been revealed as a multi-generational operation perpetuated by one seriously villainous family. There's one take that the DCEU should pay particular attention to, however: the Royal Flush Gang as portrayed on Justice League Unlimited. In one of the most affecting scenes of the series, it is revealed that this incarnation of the team was created by Ace, a psychic teenager who has warped innocent bystanders into filling out the gang's ranks. Batman is sent in to kill her before she breaks reality entirely. But all Ace wants is for someone to listen to her. Batman does, and holds her hand until she passes away naturally. A revamp of the gang with this take on Ace at its core is practically begging to be put on the big screen. Her story confronts DC's heroes with some genuinely hard truths, while complicating the villains around her. And for all that subversion, it's a choice that still allows for all the stylish fun of classic gang interpretations. As far as villains go, the Royal Flush Gang is a winning hand. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about the DCEU are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.